Baik, peralihan Fasa ke endemik menuntut industri untuk melakukan refleksi segera bagi mengenal pasti ruang penambahbaikan yang boleh dilakukan termasuk peningkatan adaptasi teknologi. Ini kerana momentum perubahan pantas yang berlaku sewaktu pandemik harus dikekalkan bagi memastikan usaha pemulihan ekonomi dan perniagaan tidak terhenti. Namun apakah cabarannya dan apakah trend teknologi terkini yang harus diperhatikan oleh perniagaan khususnya di Malaysia? Bagi membincangkan lebih lanjut, kita bersama dengan Naib Presiden Asia Pasifik dan Jepun bagi Bumi, Ajit Melarkode yang bersedia pada ketika ini. Good morning, Mr. Ajit. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Morning, Najib. Excited to be here.
All right. Mr. Ajit, first of all, technology investments were crucial for businesses during the pandemic, obviously, but what can we learn from it and what's next moving forward as we transition to the endemic phase of COVID-19?
Sure. I think one of the first lessons is that hybrid is here to stay. The practice of working remotely as well as, at work locations, that's one lesson that COVID has certainly taught us. I guess the other lesson that COVID has taught us is, we all were looking for 100% digital. That doesn't seem to be like a good idea. I don't think people really enjoy just looking at each other or talking to each other above the shoulder on a screen. I don't think human beings are meant to work that way. The third thing is it starts the need for systems integration. So as you work in the hybrid world and as we go back to work, you'll increasingly have to learn how to go back to work and continue to work in a hybrid fashion. That calls for a lot of systems integration work, whether it be integrating applications, businesses, processes, teams, or just data. There's going to be a lot of focus going in.
Now that we see most of the economy is reopening of the borders, economic activities, etc., but do you think that we're going to go back to the physical, face-to-face office setup kind of situation?
I think we will, but like I said, hybrid is here to stay. I think there will always be a mix of physical locations as well as remote. If the COVID
companies in Asia, across Asia and in Malaysia, I think have implemented their digital programs, their digital transformations 3 or 4 years ahead of schedule. And unfortunately, it was compacting 4 years of digital transformation into maybe, a year and a half with just a year's worth of budgets. So if anything, I think going forward, companies would have learned how to play more efficiently, how to use better technology platforms on areas like integration and digital transformation, and how to do digital transformation projects fast while trying to cope with this new hybrid work where we're going to be working in multiple locations.
All right. Streamlining digital transformation efforts on data, governance, integrated customer experience, and accelerated support for digital transactions will be the utmost importance for the fertile post-pandemic economy. How can businesses accelerate digital transformation in the wake of Southeast Asia's borders reopening right now?
That's a great question. I think number one, I think digital transformation is often used as a very loose buzzword. I think the first thing to do for businesses is to get away from buzzwords. All of us heard about cloud some time ago. And when we talk about digital transformation, again, people talk about, hey, let's put in some IoT devices, collect data from the IoT devices, connect them by blockchain, apply AI ML to them, host everything on the cloud, and somehow digital transformation will happen at the end of it. So it's chasing a lot of buzzwords. The key to success in digital transformation is focusing on business outcomes. It's ensuring that people are cognizant of the fact that behind every technology, there is a person and a human being. If you keep in mind the word servers in computers, a server at the end of the day is just someone or something that serves. So we have to keep in mind the technology. When we keep in mind the technology, we've got to always harvest the latest technologies for digital transformation. iPaaS is one such category. When I was talking to my customers in Malaysia as part of their digital transformation efforts, they're going, hey, is integration, is iPaaS and integration using iPaaS, integration platform as a service, the next big thing? And I had to tell them it's maybe the next big thing in Malaysia, but it's already huge, elsewhere globally. It's just relatively new in Malaysia. Very simply put, Najib, iPaaS is a platform by which you automate the process of integrating different data, different applications, different processes. So rather than spending a lot of people resources and expensive budgets especially in these COVID-constrained times, on integration, you can just use an automated platform for digital transformation. There is no digital transformation, Najib, without integration. And increasingly, there is no integration without an iPaaS platform. So my key lessons, once again, Najib, would be for businesses, get away from buzzwords, focus on business outcomes, focus on the human beings behind every technology, and focus on the latest technologies to make digital transformation happen, iPaaS being one of them. And by the way, iPaaS is so easy to implement. It's cloud-based. It's so easy for people to train on. So it puts the control of technology back in the hands of human beings rather than being technology for the sake of technology.
So, Ajit, what is your advice for Malaysian organizations looking to innovate and accelerate IT investments? And how does Bumi support in modernizing businesses?
Sure. So let me offer my advice as Bumi, because we are a category-leading SaaS company. We're an 8-time leader in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for iPaaS. The platform that I was just talking to you about, which very simply put, think about iPaaS as Velcro that sticks together data in an organization, different processes in an organization, different applications in an organization. We are the market leaders in that category 8 times in a row on the Gartner Magic Quadrant. We've got over 20,000 customers at the moment, over 800 partners. We perform something like 4.5 billion integrations a month. And let me talk from that perspective. First of all, I just reiterate my view that businesses have to focus on business outcomes, work backwards from the business outcome rather than technology for the sake of technology and using buzzwords like API and cloud. Number 2, pay attention to skills and talent and humans, and focus on the technologies that generate better outcomes for those humans behind that technology. And again, iPaaS is one of those technologies that make it really easy. Number 3, we've done some recent research across Asia Pacific. I think about 25 or 26 leading decision makers from Malaysia participated in that. It's very clear in that companies that adopt integration platforms come up with better outcomes on digital transformations. I think there was something like 68% of companies that adopted integration platforms came up with successful outcomes as they've defined it for their digital transformation programs. Number 2, adopting integration platforms, such as ours, affords for you to come up with better customer outcomes, better speed to market, and frees up those human beings' times to focus on innovation. And what I mean by this is, if we focus a lot on jargon, if you focus on doing things the traditional ways on systems integration, with people in a high code manner, with complex middleware, the systems that talk between the front office systems and the back office systems and the back end data, it slows the whole business down, number 1. Number 2, the whole business and IT is just focused on keeping the lights on rather than spending time on innovation. So the way platforms like iPaaS work, it allows you to first connect different parts of your business, whether it's IoT devices or applications or just plain teams. Number 2, it helps you modernize by going to new platforms like cloud. So for example, a prominent Malaysian CIO told me, I have 200 applications. I only have skills to move 20 of them every year to the cloud. So at the current pace, it's going to take me 10 years to move to the cloud. And that's why he was using our iPaaS, because it speeds up that process into months rather than years. So using modern technologies, stepping away from the jargon, using technologies that make it easy to integrate and thereby create digital transformation frees up businesses from focusing on keeping the lights on, just running the business as usual, to actually freeing up time to spend on customers, innovating for customers, innovating for partners, coming up with completely new revenue models. You mentioned there, Najib, the fact that COVID constrained many businesses. I think in addition to that, right now, the ongoing war is also creating all sorts of inflationary pressures and supply chain constraints, which again is adding to the headaches of COOs, CFOs, and CEOs in Malaysia. So now more than ever, companies, I would say, need to pay more attention to digital transformation and how they integrate and what they spend their money on. So spend more money on innovation and freeing up new revenue streams, creating efficiencies than keeping lights on.
Alright, Ajit, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Ajit Melarkode, yang merupakan Naib Presiden Asia Pasifik dan Jepun bagi bumi. Kita membincangkan bagaimanakah untuk adaptasi teknologi ini, dan ini adalah idea-idea yang sangat menarik yang diutarakan oleh Ajit sendiri, bagaimana untuk kita work backwards. Melihat kepada bukan saja terma-terma teknologi dan digital yang begitu canggih dan juga jargon-jargon yang tinggi, tapi sebaliknya adalah kefahaman kepada outcome yang apa yang kita mahukan, dan kita bergerak daripada situ melihat kepada teknologi apa yang bersesuaian dengan syarikat kita dan sebagainya. Itu paling penting.